Moscow, winter of 1921. The wind lashes through the narrow streets as a small blonde girl, Lydia Litvyak, runs after her wooden model planes. She was born into a working-class family, not wealthy, not special. But she inherited something rare, an unbreakable spirit. Like all Soviet children of the era, Lydia grew up between two realities, one filled with propaganda, glory, and heroic posters, and another made of hunger, hardship, and the lingering wounds of revolution. But above all of that was the sky. At age 12, Lydia sat in a U-2 training biplane for the first time. When the aircraft lifted off the ground, her heart remained behind, hovering somewhere among the clouds. She knew instantly, this is where I belong. At 14, she joined the local flying club, a place where dreamers and daredevils gathered. The boys would tease her. What can a girl know about airplanes? Lydia didn't argue. She climbed into a cockpit, and when the propellers spun, she transformed. By the age of 15, she already had 45 solo flight hours, more than many grown men. No one around her realized they were witnessing the rise of the greatest female combat pilot in history. June 1941. Operation Barbarossa. Nazi Germany unleashes the largest invasion in human history. Cities burn, villages disappear, millions flee. 19-year-old Lydia is working as a flight instructor for young cadets when she hears the news of the massacres in Ukraine and Belarus. She walks straight into the recruitment office, slamming her papers on the desk. The officer barely glances at her. Women don't fly fighters. We take nurses and radio operators only. A single sentence, a single rejection. History could have ended there. But fate intervened. In 1942, Marina Raskova, the Soviet Amelia Earhart, formed 3 all-female aviation regiments, including the elite 586th Fighter Regiment. Among the thousands of applications, one file had a red underline, Lydia Vladimirovna Litvyak. Raskova studied the flying hours, the technical scores, then quietly said, "We need girls like her." When Lydia arrived, the regiment erupted in mixed reactions. A tiny woman, 1.57 meters tall, blonde hair neatly tied, lips lightly colored, a touch of perfume. Some male pilots muttered when they heard women were assigned to Stalingrad. That girl? Flying a Yak-1? She'll never survive combat. But inside the cockpit, Lydia was a different creature. The Yak-1 was a brutal, demanding machine, fast, heavy, and unforgiving. Many male pilots struggled to master it. Lydia made it dance. During her first evaluation flight, she executed a near-perfect sequence. Immelman turn, split S, and a low-altitude sweep so smooth that even the ground crew gasped. When she landed, the commander simply said, "Send her to the front." September 1942. Stalingrad burns like a wound carved into the earth. More than 90% of the city is rubble. The Luftwaffe rules the sky. Until Lydia arrives. On September 13, during a mission to protect supply boats crossing the Volga, a swarm of Messerschmitt Bf 109 seconds attacks from the sun. As the dogfight erupts, Lydia pulls her Yak-1 upward toward the clouds. She doesn't rush in. She waits. A patient predator. Below, one German fighter dives after a Soviet comrade. Lydia rolls her aircraft, nose down, and plunges like a falling star. Sunlight glints off her white-painted Yak-1, a lily descending from heaven. 200 meters. 150. She fires. The bursts from her Schkass guns tear through the Messerschmitt. The German pilot ejects, screaming as his burning aircraft spirals downward. It is Lydia Litvyak's first confirmed kill. And in that moment, the Luftwaffe whispers a new nickname with a mix of awe and dread. Die Weiße Rose von Stalingrad, the White Rose of Stalingrad. Weeks pass. Lydia becomes a nightmare for German pilots. She shoots down aircraft in every scenario. Ambush from above, head-on charges, defensive escorts, solo attack runs. Once, a captured German pilot asked, "Was it the blonde girl who shot me down?" When the Soviet officer said yes, he murmured, "An angel's face, a storm's fury." Outside the cockpit, Lydia still wore lipstick, still tucked flowers into her flight suit, still loved laughter and jokes. She wanted to prove something profound. I don't need to become a man to fight like a warrior. In the regiment, one person watched Lydia more closely than others. Alexei Solomatin, ace pilot, strict commander, disciplined to the extreme. Lydia would stare into his eyes with a brash confidence. Solomatin pretended to remain stiff and professional, though his hands trembled whenever he handed her a briefing map. Love in wartime is quick, fierce, and shadowed by death. One winter afternoon, after Lydia returned from a brutal sortie, Solomatin approached her with an awkward bundle of dried flowers. "No fresh ones in Stalingrad, but I thought you'd like them." Lydia laughed softly. "I like staying alive even more." Then, with a sly smile, "But I like you too." Their romance had no dates, no letters. Only the sound of engines roaring side by side, and the quick squeeze of a hand before each mission. Winter 1942. Temperatures plunge to 30 degrees Celsius. Engines freeze, metal cracks, and pilots fly with the knowledge that a single mistake means death by fire or by frost. But the sky seems to bend to Lydia Litvyak. On the morning of December 22, her squadron receives a desperate call. German bombers Junkers, 88 seconds, are heading toward a Soviet supply line. Interception is mandatory. As the Yak-1 fighters climb, the gray clouds churn like waves in a stormy sea. Lydia moves slightly ahead of the formation, not from arrogance, but instinct. She feels the sky. She senses danger before others spot it. Suddenly, shadows appear above them. Messerschmitts, an escort squadron, a trap. While the Soviet fighters brace, Lydia takes a breath and pushes the throttle. Instead of retreating or waiting for orders, she breaks formation straight into the enemy. Her commander shouts, "Litvyak, wait for the signal." But she's already gone. Her yak slices upward in a steep climb, rolling between the bombers and their escorts. A German pilot sputters, "Verdammt! Who is this crazy Russian?" The crazy Russian fires a controlled burst into the port engine of a Ju-88. The bomber lurches sideways, smoke pouring like dark ink into the sky. Before the escort fighters can react, Lydia dives beneath the bomber's belly, pulls a high G-turn, and rakes bullets across its fuselage. Flames erupt. 2 bombers down. In less than 30 seconds, the Soviet radio channel erupts. She did it again. Back at base, officers submit her reports, and the day ends with 2 new marks on Lydia's kill tally. But for Lydia, numbers never mattered. She only asked one question. Did we save the soldiers on the ground? Early 1943. By now, Lydia has gained fame among her comrades, and infamy among the Luftwaffe. Her reputation spreads through German radio chatter. One pilot calls her, Der geprügelte Engel, the angel who whips us. One day, she faces her greatest challenge yet. A decorated German ace with over 20 kills begins hunting Soviet fighters near Stalingrad. His tactics are calculated, cruel, and efficient. Soviet pilots whisper, "Whoever meets him doesn't survive." On a bitter morning, Lydia and Solomatin take off in a 2-ship sortie. The sky is hazy, the horizon almost invisible. As they climb through the mist, Solomatin's voice jolts Lydia. "Contact, 11 o'clock high, Lone BF 109. But this is no ordinary fighter. Its maneuvers are deliberate, controlled, almost elegant. The German ace. He dives at Solomatin in a lightning attack. Lydia reacts instantly, rolling her yak to intercept. She meets the German head-on, a suicidal move by any standard, but Lydia trusts her reflexes more than she fears death. At the last second, she veers off, bullets grazing the German's wing. He pulls up sharply, climbing into a spiral. Lydia gives chase. They climb. Higher, higher. The world below shrinks to ants and ashes. At 5,000 meters, engines whine. Air thins. Cockpits. Frost. Then the German ace makes his mistake. He underestimates her. He attempts a vertical loop, trying to force Lydia into a stall. But the Yak 1, lighter and more agile, holds its line. Lydia whispers, "I see you." She fires. A precise burst hits the 109's oil tank. Black smoke floods behind the German fighter. The ace tries to escape in a dive, but Lydia stays glued to his tail, unyielding. A second burst. Impact. The Messerschmitt explodes into a fireball, spinning helplessly downward. Solomatin's voice breaks the silence. "He's gone, Lydia. You shot down an ace." She exhales slowly. Not proud. Not triumphant. Just calm. As if this is what she was born to do. Not far from Stalingrad, a legendary all-female unit is raiding German encampments every night. The 588th Night Bomber Regiment, known as the Night Witches. They fly obsolete biplanes, cut their engines mid-air, and glide silently to drop bombs. Fearless. Cunning. Haunting. One frigid evening, Lydia meets several pilots from the Night Witches at a snow-covered airstrip. Among them are, to this, Nadezhda Popova, fierce, charismatic, the Setted Dis, with Phase Dis, and Aviation, Maxivation, Yevdokia Bershanskaya, their tough regimental commander, and Midas Dade. They tease Lydia. "So you're the girl making the Germans scream?" Lydia grins. "I could say the same about you." The meeting is brief, but electric. Three legends of Soviet aviation stand together, unaware the world will one day tell their stories like myths. One night witch hands Lydia a white flower. For luck. Lydia tucks it into her flight suit. And from that day on, every German pilot who saw her, Yak 1 reported the same thing. A white blur passing through sunlight before they were shot down. Love blooms between Lydia and Solomatin like a fragile flower growing from the ruins. They steal moments between missions. Idias. Sharing a cigarette under a dying sunset. Messer. In the Leicester. Whispering stories of childhood. And Desteverment, Revels Rev. It's one of the stated, tracing maps on each other's palms. 1-3. The Seedids. Never saying "I love you," but always meaning it. In the back at Asko. One early spring morning, Solomatin takes Lydia aside. His voice falters. "Lydia, marry me when the war ends." She laughs softly, but her eyes shimmer. "Yes. If the war ends." He kisses her forehead, a single, trembling moment of tenderness in a world filled with fire. But the war is unforgiving. A few weeks later, Solomatin leads a training flight with a young pilot. Lydia watches from the ground as the Yak 1 second take off. 5 minutes later, a black speck, an engine sputter, a spiral dive. One Yak crashes into a field of snow. Lydia sprints toward the wreckage. Flames crackle. The heat forces her back. Men hold her as she screams Solomatin's name until her voice breaks. He is gone. Her world collapses. That night, Lydia sits alone in the barracks, staring at her flight gloves. She whispers, "I will finish what we started." The next morning, she flies a mission with eyes still red from tears, and shoots down 2 German fighters in a single sortie. Grief has sharpened her into something even more dangerous. Spring 1943. The Luftwaffe regains strength in southern Russia. Their new tactic is deadly. Ambush Soviet fighters with veteran pilots flying the improved Bf-109G. Command assigns Lydia to lead a patrol near Rostov, a high-risk region. As her squad climbs past the cloud layer, Lydia spots them 4 109Gs in perfect formation. She orders her wingman to stay close. But the Germans know her name. They want her. They expect her. 2 dive toward the Soviet formation, while the other 2 climb to trap them. Lydia shuts off all fear. She pulls her yak into a brutal corkscrew maneuver, evading the first burst of cannon fire. The Germans circle in for the kill. And then, she does the impossible. Lydia dives straight toward the sun. The blinding light hides her exact path. The Germans hesitate. Just for a heartbeat. That's all she needs. Her silhouette vanishes, then reappears behind the trailing 109. She fires a tight 2-second burst. The German fighter erupts. 1 down. But she's not done. The second 109 loops behind her. Bullets streak past her canopy. Lydia tilts her yak sideways, skimming so close to the ground that grass blades whip against her wings. A deadly dance, at 600 kilometers per hour. Her wingman shouts, "Pull up, Lydia." But she doesn't. She waits. The German closes in too close, and Lydia snaps the yak into a vertical climb, letting the enemy overshoot. A classic trap. She pulls the trigger. The second 109 falls from the sky. Her wingman breathes out the words, "You're not human, Lydia." But Lydia only gazes across the burning horizon. "No, I'm just doing what must be done." By mid-1943, Lydia has 12 confirmed aerial victories, 4 shared kills, 2 destroyed observation balloons, multiple ground attack successes. She becomes the most successful female fighter ace in world history. But fame has consequences. German intelligence now identifies her aircraft markings. Commanders warn her, "The Germans will target you specifically. Be careful." She simply replies, "I didn't come here to be careful." Her sense of duty hardens. The girl who once brought flowers to her cockpit now brings a photo of Solomatin. She touches his picture before each takeoff. "For you." The 16th of July 1943. Lydia is tasked with a low-level escort mission during the Battle of Kursk, the largest tank battle in human history. The sky is thick with smoke from burning Tigers and T-34 seconds. Aircraft dodge rising columns of blackened fire. As the squadron engages German ground attack planes, Lydia notices a lone W-190 swooping in behind her comrades. She dives. Her radio crackles. "Lydia, don't chase too far. We can't cover you." But Lydia is already locked in. She fires. The FDW-190 explodes, but 2 German fighters pounce on her. She fights like a cornered tiger, rolling, diving, firing. She hits one. The other escapes. Her yak returns to base riddled with bullet holes. Mechanics spend the night repairing it. Her commander confronts her. "You're taking too many risks." Lydia looks away. "I'm not afraid to die," he answers softly. "That's exactly why you must stay alive. Your death would be a victory for them." She doesn't reply. The war has taken too much from her. She has nothing left to lose, except the sky. Summer 1943. The Battle of Kursk rages like a furnace. The sky is a battlefield of swirling smoke, tracer fire, and burning metal. Lydia, now a seasoned ace, leads patrols over the steppe with a calm steel in her voice. But beneath the steel, grief still lingers. On a late July morning, her squadron receives orders: intercept a formation of German Stukas attacking Soviet armored columns. Lydia takes off first, her Yak-1 roaring like a wounded beast. As the Soviet fighters climb, the battlefield below erupts. Shell bursts, tank flamethrowers, and clouds of dirt thrown sky high. Lydia spots them. 7 Stukas. 5 escorts. Without hesitation, she calls, Follow me. We attack from the sun. Her pilots are used to her audacity. They follow her lead instinctively. Lydia dives. The Stukas peel into evasive maneuvers, but their sluggish frames cannot outrun a hawk like her. She fires a precise burst into the lead bomber. Its wing snaps off like a broken bone, spiraling down. 1 kill. She banks sharply and fires again. Another Stuka ignites. 2 kills. The German escorts swarm like hornets. Lydia weaves between cannon bursts, rolling her Yak-1 so tightly that her wingtip nearly grazes the canopy of a Stuka beneath her. Solomatin's voice echoes in her memory. Lydia, breathe. Trust the machine. She breathes, and the machine obeys. By the end of the sortie, the sky behind her is littered with falling wreckage. Her squad returns limping but alive. Lydia climbs down from her cockpit, hands trembling not from fear, but from the adrenaline of victory. The ground crew stares at her yak-shredded fabric, bullet holes, oil leaks. A mechanic murmurs, "How did you keep this thing in the air?" She wipes the sweat from her brow. "Because I had to." Late July, a strange order arrives. Destroy a German observation balloon, directing artillery fire. Balloons sit high, protected by intense anti-aircraft fire. Attacking them is suicide. The room falls silent when the commander asks for volunteers. Lydia steps forward. "I'll take it." Her comrades protest. "Lydia, those guns will tear you apart. Let someone else go." She raises a hand. "Our infantry is dying because of that balloon. I won't let it stay in the sky." She takes off alone. As she approaches the balloon site, flak bursts pepper the sky in black blossoms. The Germans fire everything they have. Lydia twists through the chaos, rolling beneath explosions, cutting through shrapnel, dipping dangerously low. She climbs for the attack run. Her canopy flashes with explosions. Her plane vibrates violently. But she holds steady, aligns her guns, and fires a single calculated burst. The balloon erupts into flames, an enormous fireball falling like a meteor. She turns back, smoke trailing her aircraft. The radio crackles with frantic voices. "Lydia, report. Are you hit?" She lands rough, skidding on uneven ground, her yak riddled with holes. When she climbs out, her uniform is covered in soot. She smirks. Balloon is gone. Command awards her a commendation on the spot. Her legend grows. In early August, Lydia is injured during a dogfight. A shrapnel shard slices through her leg. She's grounded temporarily. She's transported to a frontline hospital, where wounded soldiers lie in rows, many missing limbs, some barely alive. Instead of resting, Lydia moves from bed to bed, talking to them. One soldier, barely 18, stares at her wide-eyed. "Are you the White Lily?" She smiles. "Yes, but you can call me Lydia." He grabs her hand weakly. "Did we win Stalingrad?" She squeezes his hand gently. "Yes. And we will win everything else too." Her presence lifts the spirits of everyone in the room. Nurses whisper that this girl, this small, fierce, angelic girl, has more courage than most battalions. After 3 days, Lydia convinces the doctors to release her early. She limps back to her unit. Her commander sighs. "You'll be the death of yourself, Lydia." She shrugs. "Then let it be in the sky." August 1943. Lydia receives a package. Inside is a neatly wrapped cloth, tied with a string. No name, no sender. She opens it. It's Solomatin's pilot scarf, scorched at the edges. A piece of him returning to her. She sits in silence, holding the scarf to her face, eyes closed, tears slipping quietly down her cheeks. She whispers, "I still feel you with me." That night, for the first time since his death, Lydia dreams of peace, not of battles. But peace is a luxury the war will not grant her. By mid-August, Lydia's unit is relocated near the Maas River. The fighting is brutal. German forces, attempt to halt the Soviet advance, as if trying to turn back the tide of history. Lydia insists on flying daily. Her commander protests. "You're exhausted. You're flying like you don't care if you live." She responds quietly, "I care. But I'm not done yet." August 18. Another escort mission. Her Yak-1 is still damaged from the balloon attack, but she refuses a replacement aircraft. She says the machine knows her, and she knows it. Her fellow pilots exchange uneasy glances. Something feels different about Lydia, calm, focused, but distant, like a flame burning its final fuel. During the mission, she shoots down a Ju-88 bomber in a smooth, flawless attack. No hesitation, no wasted movement. She has never been sharper. Yet her return is silent. She walks past her squadron with her flight helmet still in her hands, clutching Solomatin's scarf inside it. A mechanic whispers. She's flying like she's saying goodbye. Morning haze clings to the airfield. Lydia prepares for another mission, escorting bombers over the Mayas River line. As she climbs into her yak, her wingman, Ivan Borisenko, touches her arm. "Lydia, take it easy today." She smiles soft, almost serene. "Don't worry, I'm not planning to die." But everyone around her feels a chill. The engines roar to life. The squadron lifts off. They climb into a sky streaked with the colors of dawn orange, gold, and blood red. Approaching the target zone, they encounter German resistance. 190 seconds. Fast. Merciless. A dogfight erupts instantly. Lydia dives into the fray with lethal precision. She locks onto a 190. Fires. A burst hits. She rolls away, avoiding cannon fire from above. Her wingman calls, "Two behind you, Lydia. Brake." She banks hard. Tracers rip past her canopy. She loops, dives, climbs again. Then, a final radio call. "I've got one, going in." Silence. Her wingman scans the sky. No white yak. No smoke trail. No parachute. Lydia Litvyak has vanished. Vanished into the clouds. Vanished into legend. The squadron returns without her. Mechanics run to the landing strip, scanning the horizon. Commanders radio every outpost for reports. Nothing. No wreck. No survivor. No body. Her comrades refuse to believe she is dead. Borisenko insists. She must have landed somewhere. She always finds a way. For weeks, pilots scan fields, forests, ravines. Nothing. The army lists her as missing in action. Her mother receives a brief telegram. "Your daughter did not return from combat." She refuses to accept it. For years, then decades. August 1943. The day after Lydia's disappearance, her squadron flies the same route, hoping, praying, searching. The fields near the Mayas River stretch endlessly, yellow and silent under the late summer sun. Her wingman circles low, eyes scanning the ground. But the sky offers no answers. Her commander files his report. Pilot Lydia V. Litvyak failed to return from combat. Cause: unknown. But her comrades refuse to believe she died. Mechanics keep her maintenance log open. Pilots keep her barracks bed untouched. A small white flower remains pinned on the wall above her desk. To them, Lydia is not dead. Just missing. Just delayed. Just out there, somewhere. Over the months that follow, Lydia's story becomes mythic. Rumors spread. She was captured, but escaped. As personaes. In Absable Dyer's Sidons, she landed behind enemy lines and joined partisans. In one day Spio, A. 25, she walked hundreds of kilometers back toward the front. This prestation second, and bisses a never won Munders. The Germans hid her death because they feared her legend. That's Grace. Soviet soldiers tell stories around campfires. A girl who flew like the wind, who fought like fire, who danced with death, and always won. One infantryman swears he saw her yak flying low over the treetops weeks after she vanished. Another claims she shot down a German aircraft even after being declared missing. None of it is confirmed. But the myth grows. And in war, myths are sometimes the only thing that keeps people alive. Back in Moscow, Lydia's mother receives the official letter. She sits silently for a long moment. Then she stands and tears the paper in half. Her voice is steady. "My daughter is alive. I feel it." For years, she refuses to let anyone speak of Lydia in the past tense. She writes letter after letter to military archives, commanders, politicians begging for answers, demanding recognition, pleading for truth. She carries Lydia's childhood airplane model everywhere, polishing it each night as if preparing for Lydia to walk through the front door. But years turn into decades, and the truth remains elusive. 2 decades after the war, a team of Soviet historians and veterans begins a formal investigation into Lydia Litvyak's disappearance. They travel to the Maya's front. They interview villagers, farmers, old partisans. Everyone remembers the battle's flashes of silver plains, smoke columns, explosions that shook the earth. But one elderly shepherd gives a clue. A white plane fell near the ravine many years ago. I remember because the pilot was small, very small. He leads the investigators to a forgotten patch of land, now overgrown. They dig. At first, nothing. Then a fragment of metal, a twisted wheel, a panel with faded Soviet paint, a yak, and then cloth, faded, burned, a flight suit, and then a small silver comb, engraved with initials, Elva, Elva, LV, L. Lydia Vladimirovna Litvyak. Silence sweeps the site. A historian writes in his notebook, "We have found the White Lily." But they find more. A local villager recalls that the pilot was buried with care by nearby civilians, despite the risks. They buried her in a small, unmarked grave, fearing German reprisals. No military honors. No ceremony. Just the kindness of strangers who recognized bravery even in the enemy's shadow. In the 1,970 seconds, a final confirmation emerges. Bones consistent with a petite female. Fragments of a flight jacket. A damaged Makarov pistol. A lock of blonde hair, preserved in a sealed pocket. Everything matches Lydia. The investigators compile 200 pages of evidence and submit it to the Soviet Ministry of Defense. But bureaucracy moves slowly. It takes another decade. A decade of petitions, debates, reports. Before the truth is accepted, her mother is already old. Her hands tremble when she signs the final testimony. She whispers, "Lydia, you can rest now." The 6th of May 1990. Nearly 47 years after her death, the Soviet government issues a historic decree. Lydia Vladimirovna Litvyak is posthumously awarded the title Hero of the Soviet Union, the highest military honor. The announcement echoes across the nation. At the ceremony, a general reads aloud, "For exceptional heroism, for 12 solo victories in air combat, for courage beyond measure, we honor the White Lily of Stalingrad." Lydia's mother, now frail and leaning on a cane, stands proudly. Her eyes shine with tears, not of sorrow, but of triumph. The world finally knows her daughter, not as a myth, not as a rumor, as a hero. Imagine it now. A field of golden grass, a warm wind brushing the earth, birds circling in the quiet blue sky. And then, a shadow. A white yak one appears, gliding gently, silently, as if returning home. The canopy opens. Lydia steps out, 21 years old forever, hair glowing in the sunlight, a small white flower tucked into her flight suit. She looks around with a soft smile. No war, no smoke, no death, just peace. She whispers, "Solomatin, I'm here." He steps out of the light beside her. They walk together, hand in hand, into the endless horizon. Their war is finally over. Fade back to the modern world. Museums display her paintings and flight logs. Historians call her the greatest female fighter ace of all time, a symbol of Soviet resilience, a pioneer for women in aviation. Young girls across Russia, Europe, and America look at her portrait, a delicate smile, fierce eyes, and dream of flying. Pilots speak her name with reverence. In Stalingrad, now Volgograd, a stone memorial reads, "Here flew Lydia Litvyak. She defended the sky with her life. And in the hearts of millions, she remains. A symbol of courage, a reminder of sacrifice, a legend carved into the clouds. She flew for 268 days. She lived only 21 years. But her name has flown across 8 decades, carried by the wind, remembered by history, and immortalized by those who still look to the sky and whisper her name. Lydia Litvyak, the White Lily of Stalingrad.